Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. Thank you for joining into Rayhan's podcast. And here we have a very exciting guest. Here we have Akrak Rahman, also known as Akke, but you may all know him as the first British Muslim Bangladeshi to be climbing Mount Everest. And I believe that was in
May, th-
April, May, innit?
May this year.
May last year.
Last year,
Yes,
last
May
year.
last year. You're also a passionate charity worker. You're a philanthropist. You've met the Prime Minister of UK, which is amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Also, Prince Charles.
Oh, Prince Charles too. Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah.
Okay, that's wicked, mate. Wicked. We'll get into all that in a bit, and we'll definitely be talking about your experiences in Mount Everest. And that was not an easy feat to have. And as a Oldamer, to dream that big, to achieve that kind of accomplishment, you know what I mean? It's a massive testament to your mental ability, to your focus, and your dreams as well. Being a small time Oldham boy, you know what I mean? Amazing. Because you made the Bangladeshis, you made the Silatis, you made Oldham proud. You know what I mean?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Oldham proud. But what I do want to ask you, what I do want to ask you is, what was your experience growing up in Oldham? Like, and I will say like this as well. What dared you to think that high? What dared you to dream that high?
To be honest with you, growing up in Oldham, it wasn't easy. We we were going back a long way now. I don't know. um, I was always sporty. Times were hard. We were from a normal working, not sort of working, retired father. My dad was 55 when I was born, so he was pretty much semi-retired. Or by the time I was 5, I think he retired, and he used to work in the mills. He came over when he was very young as well. We're talking in the 60s, late 50s.
Yeah,
Um, it was really difficult growing up, I remember when I used to go to Westwood Primary School. I'm sure a lot of you know that. We used to play in the playgrounds. We had.
Westwood and Richmond had always had beef in it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I went to both. I went infants for to Richmond, and then they opened Westwood, and my dad transferred us there because it was closer
Right.
to where we lived. But the thing is, I don't know. My dad's not around anymore. May Allah, keep him in a better place, inshallah. The thing is, I remember playing in the playground at lunchtime or playtime because we had like morning break, lunch, and then we had an afternoon sort of pondering the playground as well. Sometimes, my dad used to go past, and when this was probably before your time, there was Aldi, and my dad used to go shopping in Aldi, and I used to see my dad with the Aldi bags, and I used to hide my face. I didn't want him to see me, and that's the kind of stuff that I had to go through. Like I don't know. I think it's silly now that I think
Yeah.
back. It's really
I
silly,
remember
but there was a thing about shopping in Aldi.
it was deemed as something that to be ashamed about as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I mean,
our being in our community, which is everybody knows everything, everybody knows everybody as well, well spread. So to be seen carrying Aldi bags, because we used to go Aldi as well. We used to take Tesco bag or Asda bags so that we can put all the Aldi stuff in there, and as if pretend as if we went to Tesco.
or Sainsbury's, that was
Sainsbury's,
next
exactly,
door
yeah.
to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Well, my dad never did that because my dad never cared. But for me, I did because all the kids used to be like, "Oh, your dad shops in Aldi. Oh, you shop in Aldi." Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And that was hard at the time, but now I'm thinking back and I'm thinking, "Oh my God, that's so silly." And my dad did the best he could.
Exactly.
He was on a retirement. He was on pretty much, back in them days, they used to get a pension, I think, at an early age. And, we were 5 brothers, growing up. And then, I wanted my Timberlands when I was, in year 8 or something like that. And my dad couldn't do it. So my mum had to go on the sewing machine. And she used to sew at home to earn a little bit of extra cash so we can get our little luxuries.
Like a lot of mothers back then as well.
Like a lot of mothers back then. I mean, a lot of people did that. We had the guy coming around with the
Big,
dresses.
big vans and a lot of massive textile sort of.
Yeah. I mean, my mum, it was pretty much
clothes.
slave labor what she did. And it was all so that we can have a comfortable life. And to be honest with you, I think my mum spoiled me. Because of the brothers, I was the eldest in it. So I got what I wanted. I got the Mega Drives, the Super Nintendos,
Yeah.
and when I was in
There's
year eight, I
there's
asked for
some perks
Timberlands.
of being the eldest,
There are little, yeah, there are some, but it also comes with a lot of
but the
responsibility.
burden of looking after the family is also there as well.
Yes, so I in school I was sporty. I did all my sports and stuff, but then when I grew up and I started working, the burden fell on me.
Yeah.
So yes, I did have the perks of growing up, and I got everything, and then I was a little spoiled as well. But as soon as I was old enough, I had to pretty much take on the responsibility.
It's quite common for the elder child to grow up and mature quite early because the burden of responsibility comes at a young sort of age.
It does, yeah.
Because you're always looked up to as a leader, because you're always aware of what you shouldn't be doing, because what if my brothers or sisters sort of follow
Exactly.
me?
My parents wanted me to be the perfect role model for my younger brothers.
Yeah.
I mean, I have got older brothers, but I was the eldest in the house at the time. But they just wanted me to be perfect, and so they can use me as an example
Yeah.
to the other guys.
Yeah, yeah.
I
But back
turned out-
then,
alhamdulillah.
Oldham wasn't. It was nice if you're Bengali and you were close thinking, but back then there was some gang violence as well, wasn't it? I'm not sure if you were involved in all that.
I never got involved in that.
No.
My life was, I grew up on Ferstall Road, and Westwood Primary School is literally.
The heart of Bangla.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Westwood Primary School was just like literally 30 for me, because I was running quite fast. I was always sporty. 30 seconds away from my house. Every day after school, I'd come home from school straight away. I'd go back to school, to the playgrounds to play football with my mates. And then we'd play football, and then I'd have to go home 10 to 5, get ready, Uzuzu for daddy, go to mosque at 5, and that was life. And I enjoyed it. It was quite carefree at that time.
Yeah, it was actually nice growing up back then, even though there was some sort of violence, but there was a very close knit community back then.
It was very close knit, yeah. I mean, violence wise, I'll tell you something. When I was growing up,
By the way, that cough, right, is another guest of mine who is a little shy at the moment, but inshallah one day,
One day.
I'll have him on the podcast. And his success, right, is something to be inspired by and motivated by, because he's put a lot of work behind his success. I'm not gonna mention names, but one day.
One day, inshallah. Yeah, going back to that, violence was always around, I mean, the thing is, like, when I grew up, I was sporty. When I went to secondary school, I realised I was quite fast. I used to run 100 metres, and I was triple jump champ of Greater Manchester. It was hard getting to Boundary Park just to do my thingy.
Yeah.
Athletics training. I joined Oldham and Rotten Harriers.
Did you join clubs?
Yeah, Oldham and Rotten Harriers. That's the
Okay,
athletic
right, okay.
club in Oldham.
Right.
I joined them, and I was there like star 100 meters and triple jumper, and I got loads of records, from the club.
Right.
But going there was difficult. It was so hard to convince my parents to buy me some spikes. Spikes were only like 25, 30 quid, and it was so difficult. And they didn't understand what I was doing. I didn't get a lot of family support. Otherwise, maybe I could have been an Olympian or something.
Maybe.
But yeah, I mean, we grew up on Ferstall. I grew up on Ferstall Road, and every Saturdays there would be a football match. There'd be a bunch of people, football fans, predominantly white, pretty much almost white. They used to go past. Sometimes we'd have our windows broken. I mean, I don't know if they were being racist or anything, but they were just a rowdy crowd.
Let's just call it as football
Hooliganism.
Hooliganism, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that for now. But the thing is, let's move on to your aspirations and your dream of climbing Mount Everest. How the hell did that happen? Like, which boy from Oldham actually thinks that, one day I'm gonna climb Mount Everest?
Every boy from Oldham thinks that.
No, they don't.
Of course they do.
No, they don't.
Of course they do, bro. Listen, let me tell you something, yeah? Back in my days, when I was a kid, we didn't have YouTube. I used to wait for programs on Everest to come, because everyone knows Everest is the highest mountain in the world. I used to wait for programs coming on the TV, and so I could watch them. And, when I was a kid, I watched the programs, and I thought, one day I'll climb Mount Everest. I wish I could, because these guys, they look like heroes, man. I tell this to everyone, like, they're wearing the, like the space suits. the down suits.
Yeah,
They look
yeah,
like
yeah.
space suits. They've got the gas mask. The heads are covered. Everything. I mean,
The stylish sunglasses,
stylish sunglasses where you can see your
massive
reflection.
boots.
Massive boots, crampons. It just
They,
looked.
they make it look good.
It just looked really, really good. And
But the reality is what?
the reality is, it's quite difficult. But like, just going back to what you said, when I was a kid, I did think of it, but then I forgot about it for a number of years.
Right.
And then obviously I went through school, uni, college, whatever. Got married. And then that was it. I mean, I never thought of it. It was always like, maybe subconsciously I did, but I didn't. But one day, when I'm in my office and I'm just working away, and I just realized, like, is this life? Am I going to be sat here doing this? What can I do to leave a legacy for my children and, be an example to the younger kids in my family? And I don't know why, I just decided on climbing. I mean, me and Kamal, my friend Kamal, we always used to talk about it. You know Kamal, right? Yeah, of course he does. He's part of the circle. Anyway, we every year, in 2019 was my first ever climb. Yeah,
Which one was it?
Snowdon,
Snowdon, yeah.
Mount Snowdon. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, realistically, the climb was in 2013 when I went to Umrah. I did Jabal Nur.
Okay.
That was actually
that's high though, man. That's high. Like, to do it in proper scorching heat is difficult.
It was difficult, but it wasn't.
No,
No, it wasn't. No.
that's what me then.
No, but anyway, what I was saying is,
So your first climb was in 2013 in Jabal Nur, Makkah, yeah.
yeah, that was in Mecca, but I never thought of becoming a mountaineer or doing anything like that.
Right.
It was years later, when I was sitting in my office, I thought I need to leave a legacy for my kid. I need to do something. I want them to look up to me. It's good. One thing chasing money is one thing working, having a business, and but what mark do you leave on the world in reality?
Exactly.
You could be the richest man on earth. You could work, 24/7, have billions, but what's your legacy? That you're rich. Everyone's rich. Somebody will be rich every other day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So going off the topic of, I'm going back to my mate's conversation. Every year we have a iftar together. Anonymous person, you know that all our friends, we get together, we do iftar. Every year he would talk to me and say, look, we're gonna go climbing, and every year I'd be like, yeah, of course we're gonna go, and then we never think about it. But that year in 2019 we went home and I got a call from him and he goes, listen, such and such, yeah, I'm not gonna say it. And he goes, if we don't go this year now, we're never gonna go, we're just gonna talk about it, we're going on that day. And that was it. And then that's where it all began. I started looking at the routes because I've never been to Snowdon. I've never been anywhere. I started looking at routes, yeah, and I wanted to see which route we're going to take and how hard it is and try to get a grasp of things. And then how on YouTube when you go and you click a video and another video and another video, video, yeah. I was doing that and then I realized that about the seven summits. Seven summits are the highest mountains in each continent. I thought, what's the highest in Europe? That's the closest to home. And then I realized it's Elbrus, and I thought to myself, all right, 5,600 meters. I had it in my head. And then I told Kamal, I go, listen, we'll go to Snowdon. It's not a problem. And if I don't like it one little bit, that's the end of mountaineering for me. And if I don't dislike it at all, or even a little bit, if I don't dislike it, I'm going to go climb Elbrus. And he was like, what the hell's Elbrus? I go, it's the highest mountain in Europe. It's one of the seven summits. How can you don't know? He goes, all right, okay. I go, I'm going to do that. So, cut a long story short, we went to Snowdon. I think it was around June time. It was probably the hardest climb of my life. Wallahi, I kid you not, man. I was like, 87 kgs, man. I was like, overweight. I was fit. I was running in the gym and all that. I mean, fitness-wise, but climbing a mountain, I've not done it, and it really got to me. But I really enjoyed it, and I told myself I'm going to go to Elbrus, and 4 days later, I booked the expedition.
Seriously, yeah?
Seriously.
Wow.
Ask him, anonymous person.
One day, guys, yeah, one day. I'll get him on. So I've seen quite a lot of your clips, your whole journey through Mount Everest, and the journey there, the preparation, the training and everything, the support that you got from Oldham. You know what I mean? The community from Oldham, absolutely brilliant. What I think it's all nice and good seeing all the glory and posing for the picture and everything else. I saw a video where I sort of connected straight away, where you broke down crying in the tent, and that's what felt seemed to me quite that you're not acting, you're not posing, you're not trying to do something. It was you real in the moment, and you just broke down.
Most of it's raw, bro. Most of my videos from there are raw and they're not edited.
I'm sure.
It's about it's good. I'm not sure which one you saw because sometimes I try to not put these up, but sometimes you can't help it.
Yeah.
You need to show your emotions, and at the end of the day, I'm a human being. I mean, I might, some people say I'm a machine. I work like a machine, but I don't. I mean, I do. I want to be the best I can, and I want to give myself the best shot because climbing these mountains, it's not just about fitness and stuff. It's risky. I mean, those of you who don't understand about altitude is where the air gets thinner as you go higher, to the point where on Mount Everest, the death zone as they call it, above 8,000 meters, there's only 29% oxygen in the air.
Right.
And a human being can't survive there a long time. That's why your body starts shutting down anyway. So you've got a limited amount of time to get to the summit and come back down. The oxygen that we take, extends that time a little bit, but we have to be in and out of the death zone as soon as possible.
Right.
So these are things that people
I
don't
heard
understand.
that you have to pass bodies,
Oh.
and because the body doesn't decompose because of the cold weather, you sort of see the bodies as you pass.
Yeah.
Like even I can't remember the name now. There's bodies who've been there for 20 years, 30 years, and they just stay lying.
Yeah. I mean, there are bodies there. I mean, we had to. I was on the Hillary Step on Mount Everest. The Hillary Step is about 8,700, literally not even 100 meters from the summit. There's a body right on the way.
Yeah.
The route that we use. I think I can't recall it probably because I tried to forget it. I didn't want to think about it, but I think it's connected to the line that we used to go to the summit. It's a climber that's been there for 2 years. And I sort of tried to shimmy past him without like touching him. I'm sure some people must have clipped his
It's
helmet.
a definite reminder that this is real, and death is a
Oh,
very real thing.
Absolutely. I mean, when I was approaching that body, I remember being on that ridge, that famous ridge on top. From the south summit, you can see the ridge. Yeah. I remember walking along and I saw some legs sticking out, and I just thought to myself, sometimes we sit on the mountain, we take rests. When we're climbing, it's very strenuous. I must tell you, yeah.
Of course it is. It's Mount Everest.
But we take some rests in it. Like we sit down, dig our crampons in so we don't slide down. We clipped into the safety line, but obviously if you start to slip, then it becomes difficult to come back up.
Yeah.
So we clip ourselves in and we dig our crampons and we sit down. Sometimes we, sort of squat and sit on our feet, and sometimes we stretch our legs out. And I'm walking along. It's not a queue, but it's a line of people. And it's moving quite, nicely. And I could see some legs sticking out, and I'm like thinking, what the hell's that guy doing? Why is he sitting in the way? People are trying to get past. Why is he sitting on the route? And as I'm getting closer, I can see there's no movement. And then it sort of hit me like, oh, crap, that might be a dead body. And then as I got really close, I realized that it was a dead body. And I thought to myself, oh, my God. And it was a reminder of what could happen. That could be me. It could be my guide. It could be anyone around us.
Yeah.
So
one sprained ankle, one broken foot here and there. That's it. You're basically immobilized and you can't really move in a way.
if you're immobilized at that height, nobody's going to risk their life because everyone's life is at risk.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to...
You're basically a liability to everybody else.
Exactly. The thing is, like, when I'm up there, if something happened to me, I wouldn't expect my guys to, I'd expect him to some extent to try and help me, but I wouldn't expect him to carry me down from there.
That's a whole mindset in itself. Like
You have to be prepared for that, and you have
to be prepared to die there. If you get injured, you can't force your men or your people that you're gone with to carry you down because it's impossible, really, because you're risking their lives.
Nobody's going to
Death
leave.
is an imminent, real fact.
It is. I mean, nobody's going to leave you there on purpose. they'll try.
Options are limited there.
Options are really limited at that height. That's been there for 2 years. Nobody's taking it down. Why? Because it's risky, and you know, I don't know. Maybe to some extent, some people are thinking, you know what, he's dead anyway. Let's leave him there. Maybe that's how we want it to go. But then it's just too risky. I mean, you can't even get a chopper up there because they're so thin.
It's a thing, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's a reminder. But when I saw it on the way up, I just blocked it out. I had to block it out.
You have to, yeah.
I had to block it out. I had to focus on my task. I had to focus on my cause, why I was there, and I wanted to succeed. Because you know, success for me was summiting Mount Everest and also helping a lot of people by raising lots of funds.
What helped you? Like, you know, for example, if you're at your most difficult, strenuous, and you're mentally strained, you're physically strained, and you're going through flipping the lowest of the lowest. What do you remember then? What reminds you that this thing that I'm doing it for my kids, is it, or is it for, I don't know, people might think of fame and name, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? What is it that drives you? Like, what motivates you?
I'll tell you something. In the death zone, I was there for 3 days. Not 3 days, maybe 2 days, but 3 days from Camp 3. From Camp 3, I was only on 2 Snickers bars a day.
2 Snickers bars a day?
2 Snickers bars a day, bro.
Guys, have you heard that, yeah? Mount Everest, 2 Snickers bar flipping. Live on that, innit?
I lived on that. I lived on that, and I tried to have the noodles that they made for me.
Right.
I forgot to take my pot of noodles because I'm lastminute.com. So I was going to take some pot, because I went last year, the 6 months prior to that, to Nepal, and I realized that in the higher camps we need some better food, and I thought to myself, pot noodles is going to do the job. But me being me, lastminute.com, I forgot to take my pot noodles. When I went to Camp 3, they did give me some nice plush noodles. They were packed so nicely, but when I opened the pack and I took a whiff, and I was almost sick, and the guy goes, you need to have it. You need to have it, bro, because you need the energy. I'm like, yeah, I understand. And then I tried to take a spoonful, and the whiff, I almost felt sick. It's nothing to do with that, their food or anything like that. It's just that particular brand that they got. They had some sort of herb that just wasn't agreeing with me. And I told him, look, if I have this, I'm going to be sick, and I'm not going to be well enough to climb, so I'm not going to have it. So I dipped into my bag. I've got a multi-pack, the small Snickers 11 packs from Tesco. I had one of them, and those were like, for the last 15 days, they froze, they thawed overnight. And they were squished, and then I got one out, and I just forced myself to have it, and that's what I lived on.
You need it, man. You need the calories.
I need it, and the thing is, look, you asked me what drove me. I wanted to tell you this is the situation I find myself in, and I'm still not questioning myself whether I can do it or not. I have the determination. I have the passion and the desire to succeed.
Right.
I wanted to succeed for peak humanity, and obviously, to a certain extent, there has to be a bit of egotism there, because it is a little bit. It was a little bit about me, but it wasn't really, because I wanted to make my campaign.
It was your
success.
journey. Yes, you had a cause that you were doing it for. Is it peak humanity?
Peak humanity.
I'll put the link in the description below. But it is your journey. You know what I mean? It's you doing it. No matter how many sponsors you have, it's just you and your physical being, your mental health. Just you there. That's it.
100%. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Firmly agree with you. However, I've got one thing to say.
Go on.
I climbed Mount Everest in 21 days. It's usually
21
about 6
days.
weeks. Yes, that's about 3 weeks. Well, it's exactly 3 weeks.
How is that possible?
This is what I'm going to get into, bro.
However, 21 days.
Yeah.
People take weeks to do this, man.
I know. I was fasting at the time as well. When I was
And you were
acclimatized.
fasting?
While I was acclimatized. On my summit push, I wasn't fasting because it was past Eid. But when I was going to base camp, when I was acclimatizing, I was fasting. So once I got to base camp, it took me 21 days to top it. And that's faster than normal. I mean, if in total it took me 28 days to do it, because it took me another 7 days to get to base camp, or 8 days. So 21 plus, so 29 days I topped Mount Everest. The thing is, what I'm going to say is, you were saying that it's you alone. Yes, firmly agree with you. However, I had a lot of support, and Allah was there, and people's du'as got me through it. If somebody asks me how I did it, I don't even know how I did it. It's the du'as. It's Allah's will and people's du'as that kept me going.
Amazing, man. Absolutely amazing. Thing is, what advice would you give to young generation now? You know what I mean? Because I've been a teacher of children in mosque for better part of the last decade, and the things that I've seen in our community is that our kids, um, I'm not sure if this is the right sentence, but our Asian community, people, everything else. I mean, our young kids who are deprived from deprived communities and who are parents who have struggled, they're not encouraged to think big in the majority sort of way. There are some rare people like our brother over there and yourself who aspire to rise above the status quo, but there are majority of those kids, right, who just accepted who they are, what they are. You know what I mean?
That's a hard one, but it's not. To be honest with you, there's two factors you need to take into account, and there's two things you need to do. One is think big. Anyone can think big. Thinking doesn't cost any money. It doesn't take any effort. So you need to think big, and then the second thing and the most important thing is execute. You have to execute it. I decided to climb mountains. I went ahead and I executed my plan, and look where it's got me. So you need to think about it and then execute it. You have to have a plan, and you have to have the determination. I mean, look, I didn't find out that I wanted to climb mountains. You know, acclimatizing, yeah, it takes time, and for me, I think that Allah's given me a talent to acclimatize quicker than others. So I want to use that for good and try to help people and raise money, because I've been every single climb I've been raising money. So I wanted to use that to, you know, ability to help people as well. So the thing is, if you have a desire, a determination, anyone can do it. I didn't find out that I had this ability until I was, you know, in my mid-30s, man. I'll be honest with you. And it's never too late to do anything. This is the thing that people don't realize. And if you have that mind frame when you're a kid to think, oh, you know, like back in my days, people thought, oh, what's my life? I'm not going to go to uni or anything. I'm going to finish school. I'm going to go and work in a restaurant. That's shutting yourself down from before you even began. So we need to change that mentality. We need to get out there. We need to think big and dream big and go for it. We can't just sit home and expect things to happen, because a lot of people say, oh yeah, Allah the banner. Yes, Allah is the provider. He is the owner of our rizq, yeah? But if we don't do the usila, we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, so we talked about your advice regarding young kids, how to think big, and just think it. So thinking big doesn't cost much, right? But basically, it doesn't cost anything. Think big. Find a way of finding the means of executing your plan, your achievement. What do you want to do? And I would also add on onto what you said is that not every kid is meant to know what their path is when they're young.
Exactly. Look,
You find that out while you're growing up.
I didn't find out until I was in my mid-30s, like I said. So this is something I love, and I love doing it, and I want to climb as many mountains as possible. So for me, it's my thing now. I really enjoy it. It's very difficult to convince my mum about it, but you know, reluctantly
I'm
she
sure she was
agrees.
worried. I'm sure she was worried.
She's worried. She was in Bangladesh at the time, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, that was. I don't know if it was a plus or a minus, because I couldn't see my mum before I went on a lifetime expedition. And the other thing is, if my mum was here, it'd be a lot harder for me to leave. I left in Ruza as well, you know. I left my family, and you know, that video that you saw was probably a video that I shot a couple of days before Eid. I was, you know, I was on cloud nine. I was walking, trekking, and felt strong and everything. But 2 days before Eid, I thought that the excitement, the adrenaline, the passion for climbing and everything, I'm at Mount Everest, it would pull me through, and you know, I wouldn't think about my family as much. But wallahi, bro, it hits you like a ton of bricks, man. And I missed them so much 2 days before Eid. I know Eid's coming up, and I was in my tent depressed. That's probably where you saw the video.
Probably, yeah. Probably.
And guess what? The bloody Wi-Fi was down as well, and I couldn't contact him for 2 days. But it works. It works so well, though. Look how.
Technology,
I like him, and you know how he works is. Look, the way what I'm saying is, like, I was depressed for 2 days. I didn't even get out my tent. My Sherpas, who have become like my brothers, they came into the tent and gave me food and said, "Oh, bro, don't worry." They consoled me at my time of need. Wi-Fi was down. I couldn't speak to my family, and then what do you know? On Eid day, the Wi-Fi is back up and running. I'm calling my friends. I'm calling Mr. Anonymous. I'm calling my wife and my brothers and everyone. And everybody's like, "Oh, what the hell? Don't worry, chill. Calm down." And then you should have seen me. If you saw my videos after that day, there's a big contrast between difference between how I was them 2 days and how I was on that day.
I saw you all celebrating, proper.
Yeah,
Fired
it
up.
just needed me a little bit of encouragement from my close ones.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
And then that was it. I was off.
Yeah, man.
Alhamdulillah.
Is 21 days the record? Or is there someone else who
No, it's not a
did it
record.
faster?
I mean, the thing is, once you're acclimatized, you can go Mount Everest in a day.
In a day, yeah?
Yeah, so, this year, I'm hoping to climb 2 mountains.
Right.
I'll climb the first one, the normal time, maybe 21 days, maybe a month or so. The second one, which is going to be similar height, above 8,000 meters, I can go there and straight to the top in like 3 or 4, maybe 5 days
Wow.
without acclimatizing. Because once you've acclimatized once, it's there. So basically, what you're doing is your body's suffocating, but at the same time, it's thinking, what the hell's going on here? And you start to reproduce hemoglobin in your body.
Okay.
So the hemoglobin the white blood cells carry the oxygen to your organs. So when there's a lack of oxygen, you need more of them cells. So your body is such an amazing,
It just
you know,
rejuvenates,
Yeah.
heals, find ways to survive.
it replicates the hemoglobin. So you start
Seriously?
producing more.
Wow.
And that's why acclimatization takes time. You need to give it time, and then you go up from I don't know. I walked to base camp in 8 days. It took me a couple of days to acclimatize there. I was comfortable there. I went up to 6,500 meters, and my body was thinking, "What the hell's going on here? I can't breathe." And it automatically started producing more blood cells. The hemoglobin.
Yeah.
And once that process starts, within like half an hour when you're there, then you can come back down, and then it'll keep on replicating until and then you're acclimatized to that zone. And then the next rotation, which I didn't do, I went straight for the summit. I'd go to 7,000 meters, and then same process will start again. I'd come back down.
Don't
So
you have a record or something for climbing some mountain? Because our brother over there was saying you have some sort of record. Well, what is it?
Yeah, in 2020, I climbed Mount Elbrus in 1 day without acclimatizing.
That's a record, yeah.
Yeah, it's the fastest British expedition.
What was before that?
Well, I don't know what the records were before that, but I just did it in 1 day without acclimatizing. And
You know what? This is probably me being very ignorant. Yeah, I can't really compare to anything else. You know what I mean? But
Well, it takes about 4 or 5 days to climb it.
seriously, and you did it in 1 day.
Yeah, I mean, I went in 2019 after my Snowdon climb for the
Right.
first one. I want to tell you a little story about that one. I'll be quick.
Go for it, mate. Go for it.
When I went to Elbrus, this was purely due to passion. These guys were there and they were all having a go at me. Yeah, they were telling me, "Listen, what the hell? People go to Snowdon 1,000 meters and they raise loads of money for charity, and you're going to this monster thing 6 times taller, and you're not doing it for a charity." So reluctantly, I started raising money to build some water wells in Bangladesh. That time, I didn't summit the mountain because a storm came, and I had to abandon the climb. And we got as far as 4,700 or 800 meters.
Right.
And I felt completely depressed. I came home 2 months. I was, depressed. I didn't know what to do. But then,
Sorry.
no, it's fine. But then, once I gave that money, I mean, at that point, you were in Bangladesh at the time as well. Sorry, Mr. Anonymous was in Bangladesh. I sent money to my cousins, and I sent some to my mate here. And they built the water wells, and then some of these guys were sending me videos of dua khurra, the doing dua
Yeah,
once
yeah.
it's built and all that, and they were crying. And I did a WhatsApp live video call. My nephew built a water well, and they were all crying like, and the Haditha, look, this is a thing, this is a massive thing. And something really tugged on my heart then, and I just thought to myself, Ya Allah, I need to do this to help people. I've got this passion, fair enough, but I need to try and help people. And that's where it started, bro.
Yeah.
And then obviously after that, I went to, I booked my ticket to go back to Elbrus to try and top it. But then COVID kicked in. I couldn't go anywhere. So I started my campaign for Westwood High.
Right.
I think we raised about £10,000, and we went to Kilimanjaro, highest mountain in Africa.
Yep.
Climbed that in, I think it was 3 or 4 days. And then within 7 days, I didn't come back home. I went to Chamonix in France, and I climbed Mont Blanc. So I had essentially 2 mountains in 2 continents within like 7 days. And then I came home, and then to my amazement, Russia opened its borders,
Okay.
and I went back to Russia. In fact, I didn't go back. The story was I tried to go back in September.
Right.
I went to Turkey for my layover,
Okay.
and the Turkish border whatever patrol they sent me back. They're saying, look, you can't go. I go, look, here's the government website. I can go to Russia. He goes, oh, Mr. Rahman, of course you can go to Russia, but you can't go through Turkey. It's COVID. You know, we're not allowing it. So go,
Lockdown, eh?
go home and get a direct flight. So I spent a couple of days there. I came back home. I landed on a Tuesday. I booked my flights for a Friday. Wednesday, I'd go to do my PCR test because we needed PCRs then. And on Thursday, I'd get my results. On Friday, I'd fly.
Right.
Thursday morning, I get a call saying, mate, you're positive. Yeah, I was positive for COVID. And then I was like, what the hell? I've got no symptoms or anything. And she goes, oh, Akke, I know how badly you want it. I've run the test 3 times and unfortunately you are positive and I can't give you a certificate to fly.
Damn.
And then I had to isolate for 14 days. So that's it. My dream's over. Yeah. I've done Kilimanjaro. I've done Mont Blanc. And I'm sort of saying to myself, you know what? It's been a good year. I've climbed 2 mountains, significant mountains. Might as well call it a day. And then I'm depressed for 14 days. And on the 13th day, I look at my passport and I see I've got 7 days left on my visa. I call the clinic and I go, look, I need to do a PCR. They go, you're never going to be negative because people test positive even after the isolation period for up to 3 months. I go, well, it's my money. Just do the test. And if I'm positive, I'm positive. If I'm negative, then good. They go, you know what? Go to a government one. Go to the government one. It's free. If that comes negative, I'll sort you out. We'll do a test. So I'd book my test next day. Gargled my salt solution, you know, the salt water. I went and did my test. And what do you know? The next day it came negative and my blood was like jumping out my body. To cut a long story short, when I got to Russia, I had 3 days left on my visa. On the 3rd day, I'd have to be out of the country by 12 o'clock.
Right.
I got to the mountain. I'm planning the expedition with my guide. I know him from the previous year, and I go to and I'm saying to him, look, we'll do it 2 days. If we don't do it in 2 days, there's a 3rd day to fall back on. But you must get me down and into the airport by 12 o'clock because I need to fly then. And he goes, yeah. And he's like saying, oh, it's going to be difficult, but we'll give it our best shot. And in my head, I'm thinking, you know what? It is going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult whether I do it in 2 days or 3 days. So I says to him, let's do it in 1 day. And the guy threw a fit. He goes to me, oh, Akke, what the hell? Are you crazy? We did it, a couple of years ago with 2 people in 2 days and they had oxygen. They were using oxygen and they struggled. They almost didn't make it. And you're saying you want to do it in 1 day without oxygen and all that. I go, listen, calm down, Dennis. We've got 3 days to fall back on. Let's try it. If it works, it works. If not, we've got another 2 days. So alhamdulillah, we went. I did a little bit of a walk when we got to high camp. And then at night time, we just went and we went for it. And then about 8 o'clock in the morning.
Is it wise climbing at nighttime?
Yeah, nighttime is the best time to climb. And a lot of mountains, the weather gets really windy in the afternoon.
Okay.
So basically, you need to summit in the morning and get off by the time lunchtime comes because the wind and everything does pick up. Okay. Plus, on Everest, we climb at night time because it's safer. Everything is frozen stiff. Okay. In the daytime, even though it's still cold, but there is still sun shining down.
The snow's softer?
Snow's softer. We have to go through seracs and stuff, and there's ice towers and stuff that could fall and break. And, because the temperature rises a little bit or quite a lot when the sun hits it, there's a higher risk. So it's better to go at night.
Okay.
Yeah,
so many calculations you gotta do, man. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
Wise choices you gotta make.
Yeah, because this is your life that you're playing with. I mean, most mountains, you want to. The last night, the summit night, is the longest night. Every other day, you'll probably do like 5 to 6 hours of walking, or maybe 4 hours, depending on how fast you are.
Yeah.
The last day is the hardest and the longest day because you've got to go to this. You got to start at night, go all the way to the summit, and then come all the way back down. Normally, we go up and then we don't go back. We stop
Right.
at the camp, and then we go up a bit more, up a bit more. The last day we go up, and then we go to the summit and back.
Because safety.
Safety, yeah. I mean, you can't stay on the summit. If the wind picks up, then what do? You're stuck there, aren't you? So this is why they have turnaround times. This is why, like, I don't know if you've seen the film Everest.
No, I haven't.
One of his mates, Rob Hall, he takes one of the guys. Their turnaround time is 2:00. They're near the summit, and you could see the summit. He could see the summit, and he's like, "Oh, Rob, mate, I gotta go." And he's like, "Dougie, you know the turnaround time." He goes, "Whoa, man, I've done it 3 times. I'm never gonna get a chance to come back, and I'm gonna go on my own if you don't come. Just let me do it." And then Rob Hall's like, "Oh God, come on then, Doug Scott." They could see the summit, but the turnaround time was 2:00, and it took him 2 hours to get to the summit because he was that slow. And then on the way back, they hit the summit at 4:00, way after their turnaround time.
I'll watch that, yeah.
Yeah, you watched that, didn't you?
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Oh, you yeah, watch it.
I'll
So
watch it.
They came way after the time, and then the storm hits them, and they both died. So, the whole group were in trouble, but them two in particular, because they were, they didn't stick to their plan.
Right.
So you have to have a plan.
You gotta make wise choices. You gotta make calculative decisions to make sure that you're safe and secure. Because once you get injured or you do something stupid, you're a liability for everybody else.
Exactly. Everybody knows that. They have that mind frame when they go on the mountain. But you just got to think above it and think it's not.
Yeah.
You look. Let me tell you something. You prepare. Like a lot of people tell me, it's risky. It's this. Is that. Is that. Yeah, I know that. I know the risks. Come on, I know the risks better than you. I've been there. I've done it. I know the risks better than anyone. But what I'm saying is, we do our best to eliminate the risks. We look at the weather maps. We look at everything, and we try our best to stay safe. However, if the weather turns or something happens, that's not in our hands. It's not Allah's. That's Allah's will. You can look at the weather forecast as much as you want. It might say that it's perfect, but something might change, and it might turn out to be the worst.
Yeah.
So
Have you had worse, like really bad weathers?
Mont Blanc had some bad weather. We almost didn't summit.
What was it like? High winds?
High winds. Black. It was a whiteout. We couldn't see anything. We went to the Goutier hut, spent a night there. It was quite a nice thing. That's at 3,800 meters, and then the summit is another 1,000 meters above. And what we did is we started at night, probably around 3 or 4 o'clock, and we went up, and it's really, really bad, and you can't see anything. And then we had to go stop in the safety hut, the valet hut or something. I think it was the valet hut. We had to stay in there because it was so bad, the wind, and there was a group of climate, group of us sitting there, freezing our, butts off, and we were sitting there waiting for the weather to turn, whether to turn. And in my heart, I'm like thinking, yeah, come on, please, Allah, just turn. I need this.
It must be very frustrating, yeah.
It's very frustrating. And
You got nothing to go on except if God changes the
weather.
weather.
I mean, I was sat there. I was there for 2 hours, sat there. Allah, please change this, please change this. And then, Allah works in such a mysterious way, man. I'm going to tell you this. I have to tell you this, yeah. The reason why I do what I do is because I know Allah's on my side, and He's answered my prayers. I'll tell you what. Let me tell you. When we got out of the valet hut once, and I walked about 10 foot steps, and I fell over because it was that windy. I went back in another hour, and then we went out, and then we're trying to walk, and I'm feeling so unsafe, but we're walking, and then at one point I go to my guide. Listen, that's it. I'm calling it a day. I made a video saying, look, I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. It's been so difficult. And inside I'm like thinking, Allah, just do something for me. And I prayed to Allah all the way. I'm doing dua, I'm doing zikr as I'm walking up here. And then it got to a point where I had enough, and I just felt unsafe, and I wanted to get home to my family. And then I stopped, and I go to my guide. I said, that's it. I made a video, and then my guide's looking to the wind, and he goes, the wind stopped. Akke, we're quite
Just like that.
Just like that. He goes, we're quite safe here, We're quite protected. If anything, I would have thought you would have quit earlier on, but I think we can do it. I go, if you think we can do it, let's do it. And my prayers were answered there and then, bro. Allah is so grateful. I'm so grateful to Allah. Grateful. I'm losing my words here. I'm so grateful. I'm getting a bit emotional, man.
I can see.
I'm so grateful
I can see.
to Allah, and Allah is so merciful, and Allah listens. And I'm gonna say to you, it's not the only time. There's been other occasions where I've prayed to Allah and He's answered my prayers there and then. So why should I not be grateful to Him?
Yeah.
Why should I not bow down and pray to him 5 times a day? Why should I not do things in his path? Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
I can see the passion in you. I can see because when you talk about you talk about it very passionately, very with a lot of determination as well. And may Allah keep that spark in you all the time, man. You know what I mean, for
inshallah.
forever. Maybe pass down to your kids and to the kids as well. That passion, that love for Allah, and that belief that you have, that faith you have, that whatever you're doing, whatever how much of a struggle that it can be, how much of a difficulty that the mission can be, you know that there's belief and there's faith that Allah will one day somehow rescue you, save you, safeguard you from calamity. Inshallah, I always look forward to
Inshallah.
that for that. You know what I mean?
Inshallah. Thank you.
Because you had because you were supported, you were there were prayers with you all the way through Ramadan for you. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
those guys who didn't really follow you heard about you anyway, and those guys did big dua for you. You know what I mean? Because there's somebody who's a Bengali, a British Muslim climbing Mount Everest. Everybody knew about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Plus, I was helping 26 charities, and you know, the way I saw it, I was working with Channel S. They sponsored me, and I thought to myself, I'm doing it for some rewards in the akhirah. And you know, if I go with 26 charities, that money's not gonna go one way. It's gonna go like hundreds of different ways. So where the duas get accepted, you don't know.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm doing it. I mean, I want to say. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna finish. I'm gonna say one thing before we finish. I mean, anyone, not just in Oldham, anyone, anywhere, if they have a dream, go for it. I think you need to find a way, think it, get a plan together, and execute it. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do it, you'll never know what it
You never
feels
know
like.
exactly. You never know.
You'll never know. And anyone can do anything. Believing is achieving. And look at me. I'm a guy, a working class guy from Oldham. If I can climb Mount Everest, why can't anyone do anything? It's not about climbing the mountain, Mount Everest. It's about climbing the mountain in your mind. I always say that. Look, I mean, there's
It's
a hill.
climbing your own Mount Everest in your
Yeah,
brain.
in your brain, yeah. I mean, I don't want everyone to go and climb Mount Everest. I mean, if they do, good for them. But there's other
What
mountains.
is your equivalent, isn't it?
It's what's your equivalent. I also say that you should still go out and do a little bit of climbing, exercising and stuff for your own mental health and your physical well-being. I always encourage people to do that, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the message out. You need to go out. You know, you need to look after your health and well-being.
100%, 100%.
You know, look after your body, look after yourself. It's fard upon you, and anything after that, it's Allah's will.
Yeah. Before we finish, I want to ask you, because after your whole Mount Everest journey, you came back home. Also, like the whole publicity, fame, Channel S News, because you've been on multiple channels and multiple platforms. You even made royals.
Yeah.
What's that like? Who have you met, by the way?
Prince Charles. King Charles. Well, he was prince at the time.
Who's Prince of that? Kicked out.
Now he's king. I met him, and then a month later, I got an invitation to go to Downing Street, and I met at the time Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah. He was a nice guy. It was nice. I mean, going to Buckingham Palace was awesome.
Wow.
Driving into the forecourt where, you know, probably I don't know if the Royals parked the cars there, but I felt like they did, and I parked my car there. So it was a good experience. I mean, it's good to get recognition, but we can't forget our aims and objectives. We can't let, you know, this recognition get to us and hinder our goals and targets. I still want to raise money for charity. I still want to help as many people as I can. And for me, you know, that's number one. I mean, about two things, I'll be honest with you. Passion for climbing and helping people in need.
Yeah. Because despite what you've achieved and who you met and all these things, all the recognition, all the people that you met, you seem to be a very, very humble guy. Because I was talking to you before the camera started, and you weren't saying a lot about yourself. You were talking about who you helped. Your friend, who's anonymous here, had to say quite a lot of stuff about what he's achieved and talk about this, talk about that. I mean, don't just diminish it, because your achievements are to be heard for a lot of people, for them to be inspired and learn and strive for. You know what I mean? So you're a very humble guy, very humble guy.
Thank you.
Don't just lower your achievements.
I'm not. Look,
it's what it is. The things that I've heard about you is much more than you're saying. You know what I mean? And you've made a lot of changes in our community in terms of mindset as well, and physical well-being and mental health being. You've actually touched a lot of hearts in Oldham and a lot of people all around the world as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, speaking
keep
of
it up,
which,
man. I mean, just keep it up.
yeah. Speaking of which, I mean, everyone's going through hardship at the moment.
Of course, it's hard
I have
times,
to
man.
tell you, this story made me cry. I don't know if I've told you this, Mr. Anonymous, but everyone's going through a hard time at the moment, financially, and otherwise. I had a British Gas boiler insurance. They gave me a promotional offer. They gave me the highest one. I was only paying 250, and then this year, last year. In December, they decided to send me the renewal pack, and it was like 650 odd quid. I thought to myself, what's going on here? So I called up British Gas and said, what the hell are you guys playing at? I can't afford this, I can't afford this, I can't do this, I can't do that. And you guys are charging me like three times, more than double. And the lady was like, oh, I understand. I go, listen, times are hard and I don't want to pay that. Put me back down to, take off the services and all that. Put me back down. To cut a long story short, she got it down to 25 or 250 or 260, whatever it was,
Right,
what I paid
right.
last year. Very similar to what I paid last year. And then I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm on the receiving end. I've helped a lot of people through my charity work, and I'd raised £250,000.
And this is how they treat a royalty, yeah?
No,
A guy who could treat Mount Everest, what the hell? This is how they treat me, yeah?
That was not my point, bro. That was
Oh my God.
I know you're joking.
I
I
know,
know you're
right.
joking. My point my point is this. Ultimately, I'm telling her, and she's telling me, oh yeah, I put on a oil heater for 5 days, and I've got £100 bill. I know what it's like, and she's feeling my vibe, and I'm like, all right, okay. And then in the end, she got it down even lower, and I thought to myself, oh, this lady's really helping me. I go, you know what? Yeah, I climbed Mount Everest, and I did this. My name is this. Have you got, if you check me out, if you ever get a chance to give me a follow and all that. Straight away, she's working from home. She's on the Google, and she started crying. Like, she started crying, and she goes, I can't believe it's you. I can't believe it's you. 2 years ago, I was going through some, mental issues. I had a big breakup, and, I didn't know what to do with my life. And then, I saw your video on YouTube through a link, and you broke the record in, Russia, climbing a mountain. And then I saw that, and I started climbing, and you helped me so much. And here you are. I can't believe I'm talking to you. And she was crying on the phone, and I was like teary as well, thinking, oh my God. And for me, that's what it's about. Touching someone like that. That is what it's about.
You never
bro.
know who you touch, innit? You never know who you inspire.
I'm in Oldham. She's somewhere in Scotland, bro. And for me, if you can change one life, it's worth it, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know.
Keep it up, man. Definitely keep it up. You've definitely inspired a lot of people, young, old, middle aged, whatever they are. You're a symbol of inspiration for a lot of people. You know what I mean? I don't know what else to say. How articulately I can put it. Just keep up the good work, man. Just keep up the good work.
Inshallah, just keep me in your duas.
You've made your parents proud. You've made your dad proud. May Allah keep him safe and secure in Jannah. May Allah give him the highest of paradises in Jannah. May your mother be also well looked after in the best of health. I mean, may your family be in the best of health.
Bro.
May your people be in the best of health. And may you be in the best of health.
Keep me in your duas. Intentions clear and sincere all the time, and just my safety is what's important.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I don't know the line. I mean, 6 months prior to climbing Mount Everest, I went to Ahmad Ablam. I had to get rescued. They told me not to go. I'll die. I still went back, and I went.
Why did you have to get rescued?
Because I went too fast, and I actually suffered from altitude sickness.
Okay.
I had high altitude cerebral edema. Basically, I went to base camp in 2 days, which is like 5 days trek to Ahmad Ablam base camp.
Right.
I rushed it. Remember, I'm high off this record from Elbrus
Right.
climb, and they said to me, look, I got a stomachache when I got to base camp in 2 days. I took some food, and then I got a stomachache, and then they said to me, all night I was in and out the toilet, and I didn't eat anything in the morning because I didn't want to do my business on the mountain or anything like that. And they said to me, Akke, why are you rushing it? What's the problem? You've come rushed to base camp in 2 days. You've lost so many days because of bad weather. You couldn't fly to Luklan. Now you've come to Luklan, made your way to base camp in 2 days, and now you want to go to Camp 1. What the hell's going on? I go, listen, you don't need to tell me anything. I climbed Elbrus in 1 day, and I got the record for that. Why are you telling me what to do? I'm going to go. And I went, and that was the hardest trek of my life. Base camp, Camp 1 was like 4, maybe 5 hours away. In 5 hours, I was still another 2 hours away from Camp 1, and I saw a tent, and I said, I'm going to sleep there. I went to sleep for about 13 hours. I told my guide, I don't care. I'm not going up or down. I'm sleeping here. I slept there. I woke up all delusional, all happy, all high. And he knew what was going on. And he got me out of the tent. And, He goes, what do you want to do? I go, let's go up. He goes, come on then, let's go. And then I'm trying to move. I can't move, man. I can't move my legs or anything, because when you have high altitude cerebral edema, you lose control of your muscles, and you can't, you're kind of floppy and stuff, and you're hallucinating, you're high, and I'm thinking I'm on top of the world, I'm laughing and joking, and this guy knows what's wrong with me. He's trying to take me down. And then, I'm being such a nuisance. I'm laughing and joking. Oh, I need to go to the toilet. I need to wee. Every 5 minutes. He goes, but you went 5 minutes ago. I go, well, I don't care. I need to go. If I need to go, I need to go. And obviously, they let me do what I needed to do. And then, eventually, a group of climbers came down, and they stopped to assist. One of them was Christina Haril. She tried to climb all 14 in like 6 months. This year, I met her again in Everest this time round when I went.
Yeah, Everest just around the corner, isn't it? Just meet there. Everest for your coffee.
Yeah, no, I met her, but the year before that was the first time I met her, and she stopped and she goes, "Oh, what's your name? Do you have any kids? Do you have a wife? What's the name and all that?" And I told her everything, and she goes, "Do you not want to go home and see your wife and your kids?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I suggest you get rescued. Do you want to get rescued?" I'm like, "Nah, I think I can do it. I can walk it down. I'll go to base camp, rest, and then come back." And then a doctor came. Luckily, there was a doctor. He's a climber and he's a doctor, and he just took one look at me and he goes, "What the F are you guys playing at? This guy's in no state of mind to make his own decision. Why are you asking him? Get him off as soon as possible. Get a helicopter." So they got a helicopter. They called the rescue and I went and I passed out. And next thing I know, I woke up in bloody Kathmandu in the back of an ambulance with a nurse saying, "Don't worry, you'll be okay." Wow. And then I passed out again. And the next thing I know, I woke up in the hospital and I'm still that determined, bro. When I woke up in the hospital, I was thinking, how am I going to get out of this and get back? Straight away, when they asked me, "What's your name?" they didn't even ask me all this. I started giving them my name, my address. I even gave them my passport number just to show them I'm okay. But they weren't having any of it. They took me MRI. They did the MRI and everything. They go, "Mate, your brain swelled. You got haze." So, yeah. Well, they did the MRIs and all that. They kept me in hospital for 5 days. Every day they did a chest x-ray, they did this, they did that. And then they said to me, "Don't go back, go home, rest for a few months. Recalibrate your plans."
Health concerns when it happens, they have to be very thorough, innit?
You have to be very thorough, but they let me out on a Saturday. On a Monday morning, I took a helicopter back into base camp.
Right.
And I climbed the mountain and I got to 6,500 meters. I was 300 meters off the summit. We went to an open, exposed ridge where the wind, if I was 100%, I wasn't even 50% when I went. If I was 100%, the wind wouldn't have bothered me. But because I wasn't 100%, I wasn't even 50%, the wind was flinging me about. And my guide said to me, "That's it, calling it a day. I'm going." Yeah. And I had to go back with him. And it took me 2 days to get down.
Your determination is it's like so strong.
It is strong. I knew, because the thing is, look, I went back because
it takes a special person to do that, to think like that, and to be so determined that nothing else, not even your own health or survival skills come into place. Yeah, you just want to do it.
It does.
To an extent.
To an extent. Look, I think that mountain, climbing that mountain was probably the most successful thing. I mean, one of my mates told me that was the most successful mountain, even though I didn't summit, because it taught me a lesson. Yeah. It brought me back down to earth, and it reminded me of why I'm doing what I'm doing and the safety aspect of it. And he also said to me, "Look, if that had I knew this, I knew that anyway. If that had happened on, God forbid, Everest or something like that, a rescue attempt would have been, almost near to impossible.
Very difficult, yeah.
It would have been very difficult, yeah. So that mountain taught me a lot, and it brought me back down to earth, and I realized what I was doing, what for, and then, alhamdulillah, I went to Everest, and
yeah, man, keep it up.
The rest of it's
keep
history,
it up.
innit?
You're definitely an inspiration to
but just
hundreds, if not thousands, and probably even millions. You have no idea. You have no idea.
I don't know.
But it's been a while. Because you're well known now in Bangladesh. You're well known quite in very remote places in the UK as well. You never know who you touched.
You never know. All I'm saying is next year.
Where are you going?
I mean, not next year. This year.
This
year. I'm going to be climbing again. I'm going to go Nepal. I'm doing it for the 26 charities as well, inshallah. So Channel S have sponsored me.
Okay.
I'm going to be climbing. I can't disclose the details as of yet. It's in Nepal. Right. It's an 8,000 meter mountain.
Okay.
I can give you a clue.
Go for it.
The mountain is in Nepal.
Right.
But in Rangpur in Bangladesh, you can see the mountain.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Right. Anybody who's viewing this, anybody who's got a clue where that is, please put it in the comment below. I want to know, yeah, if you're figured it out, and I will give the answer once he's ready to give the answer. Yeah.
It's probably if you Google it, you'll find which one it is. But yeah, so that's on the pipeline, and maybe maybe a couple at the same time.
Right.
It just depends on how, the endorsements.
What
and
else
sponsors.
is left?
You don't know.
No, I don't know.
There's 14 mountains over 8,000 meters.
14 mountains.
There's 14
and,
mountains.
And how many have you done so far?
I've just done Everest.
Just on Everest.
Just Everest.
Obviously you've done Elbrus something.
Elbrus is the highest mountain in Europe, but it's
In
not
Europe.
over 8,000 meters. It's only 5,600
Okay,
meters.
so you want to do all of them?
I don't want to speak too soon, but as a mountaineer, that would be my goal to try and climb
Yeah.
all of them. Yeah, inshallah, we'll see what happens. It's one at a time, isn't it? So
Yeah. One
we'll
step
see.
at a time, one mountain at a time.
One mountain at a time,
One
step
peak
at
at a time, literally.
a time. Literally,
One
yeah.
peak at a time, innit? What the hell?
Yeah, but let's see if we can get the sponsorship out and try and get two. This one that you can see from Bangladesh, and
Yeah.
there's another one that I had my eye on to do them at the same time, which is definitely possible.
Yeah.
But it depends on whether I can get the sponsors or not. So
Yeah.
that's
How much does it cost to say climb Mount Everest? Like, what's the cost level here?
Mount Everest for a basic, average everyday climb would probably cost you around 25 to 30 grand.
Hey, cheap as they flip it, man.
And then if you go up to a moderate package, maybe 35, 40, and some people.
Is it 5-star hotels or is it 4.5 star?
Nah. Well, you know what? You can get some really good treatment. If you spend 180 grand, there's a company that will take a massive tent for you. They'll take a toilet, a sitting toilet. They'll take you a tap and
All
everything.
the
They'll install everything. They'll do it.
luxuries
But,
and
yeah, it's very, very luxurious. But what's the point of that?
What's the point exactly?
What's the point of that? See, the thing is, anyway, so Mount Everest is expensive because the permit alone costs 11 grand.
Okay.
And everything after that, I was only there for 29 days, but
Yeah.
you have to take into account the full 55 days or whatever they project for your expedition. So for 55 days, somebody's gonna have to.
Are
house
there
you.
tests or for that for you to apply for the permit, like to run this many miles or I don't know?
I don't know. I heard in 2019 they introduced this thing where you have to climb a Himalayan peak 6,500 meters and above
Okay.
in order to qualify, which is what I did when I went to Ahmad Ablam when I had the haze, and I still went back. I
Okay.
got to 6,500 meters. Whether if I did that or not, whether I'd get the permit or not, I don't know. But I heard that you have to show some experience. You can't just be any old, first timer. That's
Anytime they can get just permit, can't they?
Yeah.
You probably have to qualify somewhat to some degree to
Yeah.
qualify for the permit, innit?
Yeah, you have to have some level of experience. In the past, people have gone without setting a foot on any mountain,
Yeah.
and they've gone.
Okay.
Some of them have succeeded, some of them haven't. Some
Alright.
of them have been fatal. So we're talking like in the 90s and back in the
Yeah.
days. But this day and age, you have to have some sort of climbing experience. Because there's ropes, there's this, there's that. They don't do it.
Permit or no permit, going there without any sort of training, right? It'd be stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to go through some sort of training.
You'd have to have some sort of
Yeah.
experience. People don't understand the science behind it. The acclimatization,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
going up and down, the oxygen, these factors. You have to take it all into account. Back in the day, some of these people were very lucky to get summited and come back down, and a lot of them, went and, it's harsh to say some of them didn't come back.
What's your sort of hope, or what's your ideal thing for the next generation who's growing up?
I think
What do you want them to see, learn, or do?
I want the next generation to go to university, to do their qualifications, get their degrees and whatever it is they
go through the
aspire.
conventional route, yeah.
Go through the convention. It's not a problem. But in your spare time, I want you to go out, because a lot of these kids, I'm talking about my own kids as well here, they've become lazy. They're on the PlayStation. They're on the iPod.
Tell me about it, man.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I don't like seeing it like that. And I think, a lot of people, they have issues when they're young, health issues and all that. And this is because we're stuck in our own little bubble. We need to get out that bubble and get out of the comfort zone and go outdoors. A lot of people in our community, predominantly Asian, the BAME, they think that the outdoors is not for us. We can't go out, climb Snowdon and go for a walk in the countryside. That's a load of bull. We can go to wherever we want to go to, and we can do whatever. It's not, age or race related. I sincerely think that we need to, even as parents, we need to take our kids out on the weekend, go for walks, maybe a mountain climb, a small mountain, not Everest, but like Snowdon, or not even Snowdon, maybe a 500-meter hill.
Yeah.
Go there, walk. It's
Something simple.
something simple. It's exercise. It's getting your heart rate going.
Yeah.
And also you get mental clarity. A lot of people don't know this. They think it's all physical. But when you're walking up, you get a bit of a lot of mental stimulation. I get anyway.
Yeah.
So this is what I want. I want them to, look after their health and well-being.
Go out there, go for a walk, Dove Stone, some sort of hiking, some sort of trek. Simple, nothing strenuous.
Nothing too
Clarify
strenuous.
your mind, see some greenery, see some nice scenes.
Breathe some fresh air.
Fresh air.
Get off the iPod. Get off the
Get off the
PlayStation.
flipping- yeah.
Yeah.
Get off
So
all that.
This is what we need, and all the influencers, all these people, they need to start going into that direction.
Yeah.
Because it's you could be an influencer, you could be all about yourself, and you could do whatever you do very well, but you need to try and educate the generations that are growing up. Not just the generation, the elder people in our community as well. A lot of them are like stale and stuck in their own ways.
Who blames them? Because they sort of came to this country thinking that work. And that's what they did.
But
You know
now
what I mean?
now
They don't want anything else.
some of them are in their 50s, maybe in their 40s,
60s,
60s.
yeah.
They need to, now is the time to look after your health. So now you should go out and take a little walk, take a little breather, breathe some fresh air.
I think it's up to the kids who they raised, who've had the fortune of seeing sights and stuff like that, who are being in a very fortunate position where they don't have to struggle as hard as their parents did. So it's up to them to take their parents now to these places.
It's true, but how many of those are there? This is what I was going back to my first point.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people take this up. A lot of people, think that it's not for us. It's predominantly middle-class white people that go, walking outdoors to take the dog for a walk and whatnot. But no, it's not. It's for everyone.
So everyone,
We should go out. We should get our heart rates pumping, breathe the fresh air, and just chill.
Excellent, man. Akke, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. I want to thank you for coming on anyway, and I want to thank our anonymous guest as well for being here, listening. His bodyguard, and I one day have him on the podcast as well. His story and his struggle to success was also an inspiration to be heard and documented, and also for thousands and millions of people around the world to also probably learn from. And how to be a humble individual despite his success is absolute a testament to his parents. You know what I mean? So, Akke, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Nah,
I
it's a
have
pleasure.
the best of wishes for you. May your parents be well, may your family be well, may you be well, and
Thank you, bro.
may Allah accept your dreams and achievements, and may it be an inspiration for thousands and millions of people around the world.
I mean, just keep me in your doors. Everyone that's listening, my safety and health and well-being, and my intentions in it. Intention is the main thing. If your intentions are right, Allah will help you and guide you.
Yeah, may Allah
Simple
keep you
as.
on the straight path. Right, guys. Thank you for joining me on the podcast, and thank you for watching. If you've come this far, thank you for coming. You know what I mean. Also, if you have any suggestions and tell me about that peak that he's after, let me know. And guys, as always, like, comment, subscribe, give me some comments, suggestions, and ideas. I'm happy to take all of them on board. And thank you for watching. Have a good day, guys.